Hey everybody, and welcome to the A side. It is Friday, October 11th, and again, thank you for joining me here. Again, for those of you that haven't caught up on my B side, and why haven't you? The B side is basically my video essay type thing. This is more of a weekly, just predictions on the weekend, stuff that's really not going to matter in 6 weeks, such as we have a new WNBA champions, and this concludes our coverage of the WNBA playoffs. We also are down to 4 teams in baseball, and I care not nearly as much as I do about the WNBA. So, 2 sports down. Shall we talk hockey? Soccer? Yeah, don't care about that either. Unfortunately, if you're coming to this, you're pretty much going to get football and MMA and basketball, and that's pretty much it. So, let's kick off with football because that's the important thing. Our big game of the week, in my opinion, is LSU versus Florida, which I'm really interested to see what LSU's offense is able to do against Florida. Florida always has good speed. Florida always seems to have a decent secondary, at least. If they're well coached, they can have a really dramatic offense. LSU, of course, always has great defensive backs. I could care less what Texas thinks. They always have a really good defensive line, even though most of them failed miserably in the pros. Their offensive line's always decent. They always have great wide receivers who like to drop the balls at inopportune times. And they always have quarterbacks that just simply can't get the job done no matter how highly rated they are coming into the program until this year. This year, they've got an offensive coordinator who is just making money every second he's on the field. It's amazing how this guy's going to stick around LSU for more than 2 years. I'm going to be stunned unless it's just a flash in the plan. But when Burrows leaves, if the next guy up's able to do anything close to this, he's going to be gone. Like quick, fast, and in a hurry. LSU won't be able to pay him money. And to tell you the truth, I almost wonder if it's worth firing Coach O just to let this dude take over if he's able to to do this long term. Kind of like Jimbo Fisher. Yeah, I wasn't happy the way they treated Bobby Bowden, but to keep Jimbo, I can kind of see this. But I'm not exactly sold on Burrows being able to do this long term. Uh, I certainly don't think he's a first round pick, unlike certain pundits think he is. I don't think he's nearly as good as he thinks he is. And I'm waiting to see him do it once he's popped in the mouth, to tell you the truth. LSU still has gaps on defense where occasionally they do get dinged up. They tend to get hurt quite often. I don't know what's going on with that. It seems like every time I turn around, there's an LSU player on the ground, which I really have problems with, and it scares me to death because I won't Delphi my Panthers next year. But I think it's kind of funny. You got two top 10 teams fighting each other, and one of them is favored by 2 touchdowns. I think if I had to put money on it, I would put money on Florida, just for no other reason that 2 touchdowns is a massive amount uh, of points to give up. But I will take LSU straight up, which will make the wife happy, just because she's a massive LSU fan. But I think it's going to be a great game. I really do. Uh, I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens after halftime because LSU tends to make fairly good adjustments. Florida is like I said, Florida's got a lot of talent as well. I don't think there's, and again, I'm not really sold on Ogeron being a great game time coach. But still, I'm kind of interested to see what's going to happen with it. Over in the pro ranks, I do find it hilarious that Kaepernick has now basically put the word out that he's ready to come play. And, uh, I mean, he's been out of the sport for how many years? And was he really anybody chomping at the bit to pick him up last year? And I do understand the whole Kaepernick thing. I do understand, you know, is he better than some of the backups playing and all that? Quite possibly. But by the same token, is how much money are you going to pay him? It's like the reports came out that they wanted him to play in the XFL, and they basically said, come to the XFL, pick your team, you can play there, and he basically wanted more than the entire salary cap of the entire team. He's like, this is my price for me to come play. How much were the Ravens going to have to pay him? When they were negotiating contracts, I mean, Would I pay Kaepernick to come play for the Panthers, which is my team, in case you didn't know? Certainly, I could see that if Allen, breaks his leg or if he just falls off the face of the earth. I could see giving Kaepernick a chance. Would I give Kaepernick a chance at $20 million a year in a salary cap league? Absolutely not. And would I pay him 5? I could see that. Would I pay him 5 up to 10 with incentives? I could see that. Am I paying him 20 with up to 30 in incentives? Absolutely not. So yeah, I mean, it's real easy to sit there and say, "Oh, they won't let me play. Oh, I'm this good." Everybody else that was kneeling beside him in San Francisco seems to have a job, including one of my Panthers, and I'm perfectly happy with him getting a contract because he's well worth the money, even with the kneeling. Kneeling is a completely different subject. I won't get into it, but still. You can't sit there and say, well, you won't let me play. Guess what? The NFL ain't paying me $20 million either. I'm not as good as Kaepernick, but I'm not as good as Tom Brady either. And I'm not exactly going to get Tom Brady money to play at a position if I'm not Tom Brady worthy. Speaking of two guys that are probably Tom Brady worthy, our big game of the week, in my personal opinion, is the Houston Texans against the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, I am legally obligated to state that I predicted Watson was going to be a great quarterback, and I'm going to keep pounding that drum as long as I live because I called it. I was perfectly willing for Carolina to trade up and draft him. I was kind of thrilled when Houston got it because I do like the Houston franchise. Houston finally seems like they fixed their offensive line, and what do you know it? Watson looks wonderful. I did think that it's going to be a fun game based on Mahomes kind of being dinged up a bit. His ankle seems to be hurt a bit. So his offense is not as dynamic, which means Andy Reid's kind of got a game plan around it. I do question how good that Kansas City defense is. Who knows? I do know that the Texans, I don't think, are very well coached. I don't think Bill O'Brien's that great a coach. But I do think that he's good enough a coach not to get in his team's way, which Kansas City doesn't really have that, which you'll see in the playoffs because Andy Reid always seems to get in the way in the playoffs. So if this was round 1 of the wild card game, I think I'd take the Texans. With it being regular season, I kind of think you have to go Andy Reid. But I still think it's going to be a great game. Another good game we've got is the Rams at the Texans. Rams at the Niners. My problem with it, the Rams, I think, are the better team, but I think the Niners play better together. I do know this goes against what I put on our predictions post, which you can read on the website, 7poundbag.com. Sorry, I haven't mentioned that before. But I think, at least for this, I'm going to flip the script. I think I am going to take the Niners. As I look more and more at this game, I just don't think the Rams' offensive line is that good. I'm not sure Gurley's going to play that well. The Niners are coming off a week off. I think they finally get Kittle involved. But I look at that Niners defensive line, and I just think it's too good. I just don't think they're going to give Goff that much opportunity to throw, and I think it's going to cause problems for him. I think Goff is an above-average quarterback, but I don't think he's number 1 pick worthy. And I just don't know if I trust him that well. I mean, would I trade Goff for Watson? Absolutely not. Would I trade Goff for Mahomes? Absolutely not. Would I trade Goff for Wentz? Yeah. I think all those quarterbacks are better than Goff. And yes, I do realize I said it backwards the other way. But, is Goff better than Jimmy G? It remains to be seen. But I'm not even sure he's a top 7 quarterback in the NFL, to be quite honest with you. So it's going to be an interesting game. Even though he is, even though he's been to the Super Bowl, is he that good? Okay, so let's flip over to our final subject. Let's talk MMA. I like this card coming up. I really do. For a fight night card, you got Joanna Joe Champion versus Michelle Watterson. I think that's going to be a really interesting fight. Just because Joanna, the weight cut's been talked about ad nauseum. She's been a professional long enough. I don't think that's really going to hurt her that much. I think she'll be fine. But my problem there is not with her body. I kind of wonder about her mind. I mean, she built so much into being champion. She built so much into basically her run to the top and just dominating everybody. And since that loss to Rose, she just has not. She doesn't seem like she showed that kind of fire. I'm not saying we're looking for like a Ronda Rousey type drop off on her, but I do kind of question how good she's going to be. I do kind of, if this was the Joanna of old, I don't think Michelle gets out of the first round. If Michelle Waterson's a good fighter, I think she can be a very good fighter, but I don't think she's that. I don't think she's that dynamic. I don't think she's that good a striker. I don't think her chin's nearly as good. Whenever she does get a good an opportunity to break through, she tends to not do it. She always seems to get right up to that cusp and then lose. Whereas if she won, she'd break through and be, on that top contender slice. Joanna, I think it's really up to her. If we get a callback to the Joanna of old, this fight's over quickly. If not, Joanna's going to be able to use her reach. She's got like 4 inches on her, and basically just pick her apart. And it's really up to her whether or not this ends early, late, or on the judges' scorecards. But I'm taking Joanna by decision. I'm taking Joanna by stoppage, probably in the third, just because, again, I'm a big fan of Joanna. I think she's I think she's probably one of the best we've seen when her head's on right. I don't really think the submission range is really going to be an issue, but I'm taking Joanna fairly simple. The other fight I care about on this card is yet another Gracie with yet another great record, actually fighting somebody worthwhile in Cub Swanson. Cub Swanson, as everybody knows, is tough. He's a veteran. He's done everything. He's fought everybody. He is a great test for Kron Gracie, who, as we all know, is a Gracie, which means ground fighter, but good gravy. I mean, still, I do know that, shoot. I'm almost tired of seeing these Gracies pop up with these 7-0, 8-0, 10-0, 6-1 record. And, oh, man, it's the Gracie magic and all this other stuff like that. Look, I've watched the early Pride fights. I don't care. I really don't. It's almost like if he was Kron Silva, would it be that impressive? Would he be co-headlining the fight? A fight night card? Probably not. Especially at 5-0 against somebody with Cub Swanson's pedigree. But that being said, of course he's going to be good on the ground. Of course he's going to have solid takedown defense. But who's he beaten? Who's he fought? This is his first UFC fight. I'm taking Cub Swanson again. I'm always happy to see. I'm always happy to see a Gracie lose. I just am. Sorry, I'm a Wanderlei fan. I love the Gracie Hunter. I'm always going to be that way. Not that I'm cheering against him because of his family, but if it wasn't for his family, he wouldn't be in here. But I would love, I almost would love to see him actually do well. But I just think Cubs, he's going to touch that chin. He's going to touch it often. Cub's been in there enough where he knows how to get out of the basic takedowns. I don't think he's dumb enough to follow anybody to the ground with Gracie's pedigree. So, I'm sorry, he beat he beat Bruce Leroy, which, again, so this is his second fight in the UFC. But, I don't know. Like I said, I think it's an interesting fight just because Cub can get caught. He does, on occasion, forget what he's doing, or he will overextend himself trying to get that nice little highlight KO. But I'm still taking Cub Swanson. I'm taking him in the second round. Sorry for saying so much. Probably going to inspire a drinking game. But that's my picks. I'm taking Joanna. I'm taking Cub. Yeah, sorry. Going to do it. So, enjoy the weekend. Please make sure you come back to us on Wednesday, where I'm going to stop talking about superheroes. And I'm going to talk about other scripted events. I'm going to talk wrestling. I'm going to break down Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair. Who could do the other's job? Or who's the greatest wrestler, if you want to put it that way. So far, it's probably going to just be one-parter, but I think it's probably going to be in a two-parter. I may even talk about who could have done Hogan's job as well as he did, but who knows. But make sure you come by the website. We've got some great stuff coming up there. Joe always on Wednesday. Our MLB, if you just want your baseball coverage, that roundtable's out there. Tomorrow I'm going to be posting my Hellraiser video, and I'm probably even going to throw up my Halloween 2018. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm saving that for Halloween. I'm going to be posting my Dr. Giggles review. So if you like Larry Drake, also known as Billy from LA Law, we're going to talk about that. And y'all have a great weekend. And if you make any money, by all means, take your family out for dinner. Bye.